Now, Brian Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 FM, AM 630. WMAL.
It's 6:37 on the Morning Majority. A harrowing report out of Richmond, Virginia. Brian Neiman.
Oh, really?
You're going to want to get ready for this one.
All right.
A truck containing Obama's podium, teleprompter, and audio equipment stolen in Richmond, Virginia.
Really?
A local news outlet reports. But do not be afraid, little ones. It has been recovered. Hopefully with all the stuff inside, so the president continue to give speeches which have nothing to do with campaigning, mind you. An official visit. So
I'm actually shocked that stuff was stolen. I mean, you would think that would be...
How do you let that one out of your sight?
Closely watched, and that the Secret Service would kind of be keeping their eye on that.
No classified or sensitive information on any of it. You know, except for probably the president's speech loaded up.
Right.
But apparently they're searching for suspects.
So there's a big debate tonight. It's a Republican debate. Last time we had a debate, the Bloomberg television debate, we were all talking about make or break for Rick Perry, and didn't go so well for Rick Perry. You're not hearing a lot of make or break tonight for
No, it's funny.
Rick Perry
it's
or
like
Hurricane.
I feel like debate fatigue has set in Washington because everybody was like, this is the big moment on Bloomberg TV.
Yeah.
The giant moment that no one's going to watch. And tonight it's like, oh, there's a debate tonight. Yeah. It's a Western debate. Well, the Western folks are a little more laid back.
They are a little bit
like,
more laid back. Steve Hayes is online from the Weekly Standard. I'm sure you'll be watching the debate tonight. You're not going to protest the fact that John Huntsman is protesting the debate. I would imagine you're just going to sit back and watch and enjoy it, huh?
Yeah, I thought they were canceling the debate, right? If Huntsman was going to boycott, weren't they going to cancel the debate?
What is a debate without John Huntsman's mildly tasteless jokes?
Although, Steve, you talk to a lot of economists, they'll say, who's got the best package out there when it comes to the economy? It's not 999, but it's John Huntsman.
Actually, there's something to be said for that. And I think the economic plan that he offered is sort of it's kind of the bold, aggressive plan that the Times suggests. And John Huntsman's one of only a couple candidates who has offered a full unqualified embrace of Paul Ryan's budget. So, there's something to recommend on the economic side of things. He just hasn't exactly caught fire.
I've been surprised that his stances on those things have not pushed other candidates to be more specific or to embrace things or embrace Ryan's plan more fully. And if that's the case, does it mean that people like me need to make fun of the other guys for being rhinos until they do?
Well, I mean, look, it's interesting. I think if Huntsman was more of a threat, I think from the beginning, Huntsman was the media candidate. Nobody liked him so much as the national media, and it was always unlikely, I think, that he was going to be a candidate that was going to have a real national following or even a real local following in New Hampshire. So I don't think anybody saw him as a threat enough to force them to take positions or do things they weren't otherwise planning to do. But, I mean, I think on the question of entitlement reform, on the question of major structural reform of the way we spend our money, the rest of the field has been pretty quiet. It's really amazing when you think back to last spring and you think about the amount of time that we collectively, I mean, sort of Washington generally, the political world, spent discussing and debating entitlement reform and the kinds of long-term structural changes that need to happen. And the fact that that's been virtually absent from the Republican presidential debate, to me, it's shocking.
Well, you wrote a column about Mitt Romney and entitlements, basically saying in 2008, after the campaign there, that he was surprised that people weren't asking more of their candidates about entitlements, but yet he doesn't really have a plan forward when it comes to entitlements, does he?
He doesn't. I mean, it was very interesting going back and rereading parts of his book on entitlement reform. He has this section where he talks about participating in debates in the 2008 cycle and being surprised at what he suggested was media falling down on the job, not actually pushing people for specifics of their plan. And he said, basically, the media need to do this, and we need to make it the case that the new third rail in American politics is when a politician won't share details of his or her plan, rather than a politician who, is unwilling to talk about these things. That's pretty bold of Mitt Romney to say that at the time. He hasn't been very specific yet on entitlement reform or on these kinds of issues He's offered some Medicaid reform proposals. He's, like President Obama said, he'd be open to a couple of specific things. But we've yet to see from Mitt Romney the kind of, detailed plan that he laid out in his 160-page economic plan.
Well, and it does seem like, so if you're Kaine, you offer something bold and specific, it gets hammered for 2 weeks. If you're Romney, you play it safe. You say, yeah, I'm sort of kind of in favor of these things and these broad principles, and nobody messes with you.
Yeah, I mean, Romney, I'd say in Romney's defense, his economic plan is quite specific. Right. I would say it's not very bold. It is, in my view, sort of tinkering when we need really aggressive changes. I mean, when you're talking about tax reform, everything that Romney's proposing, in my view, or virtually everything that Romney's proposing, in my view, is good. It's just small. Yeah. And some of it feels a little gimmicky. Newt Gingrich asked him about this at the last debate, where he said, basically, why are you limiting the lowering of capital gains tax rates to people who basically don't have much in the way of capital gains? How do you expect that to work as any sort of stimulus? And Romney gave the best answer he could give, which wasn't a very good answer, because I think fundamentally that's more of a political decision than it is an economic decision.
So what are we looking for tonight?
I don't know. It's a weird moment in this field. I mean, if you talk to people around Washington, it feels like Mitt Romney's the Republican nominee, and this is everything that's happening between now and next spring doesn't really need to happen. And I will say, not without cause. You've got, on the one hand, Herman Cain, who's surging, doing quite well, has been, I think, very good in these debates, but who's off doing events in Tennessee. And you've got Rick Perry, who has raised $17 million, has $15 million, certainly has shown himself to be formidable in terms of his fundraising, but has yet to have even a sort of an average debate performance. And then you've got Mitt Romney, who has been, I think, very strong in all of these debates. He's done so much better than he did back in 2008. It's almost like it's a different guy. So I expect you'll see more people train their focus and their shots at Mitt Romney, who hasn't been the subject of many of these attacks from the others, because they have all been trying to win the sort of not Mitt Romney primary.
All right, well, we'll be watching. Maybe some of them will read this New York Times story on Massachusetts' inability to pay for its health care program.
Details.
Yeah, I know. It's tough. Oppo research is tough. All right, thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks a lot.